Hi, my name's Mary.
My name is Jen.
And we're from Brooklyn, New York. If you were elected President of the United States, would you allow us to be married to each other?
You said you recently changed your mind on same-sex marriage. I'm wondering what you mean by that. Do you now believe that gay people should have full rights to civil marriage nationwide?
Announce the results.
Ayes 24, nays 38.
The bill is lost.
Marriage in Minnesota is under attack. A lawsuit and 5 legislative bills were filed this year to impose gay marriage. Angry gay protesters want to force this issue on us no matter what.
Are you for something like that?
I am, in my own state, I have voted along with the vast majority of Alaskans who had the opportunity to vote to amend our Constitution defining marriage as between one man and one woman. I wish on a federal level that that's where we would go, because I don't support gay marriage. I'm not going to be out there judging individuals, sitting in a seat of judgment, telling them what they can and can't do, should and should not do. But I certainly can express my own opinion here and take actions that I believe would be best for traditional marriage, and that's casting my votes and speaking up for traditional marriage. That instrument that is it's the foundation of our society is that strong family, and that's based on that traditional definition of marriage. So,
Define marriage.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. Now, for me as a Christian, it's also a sacred union. God's in the mix.
Could I just mention one other thing? On the issue of the gay marriage, I believe if people want to have private ceremonies, it's fine. I do not believe that gay marriages should be legal.
California lifted the ban on same-sex marriage. We're in small-town Georgia to find out what people think about it.
I don't think that's cool.
Why is that not cool?
You shouldn't change God's word.
It's very discouraging because I have a worldview that I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
God intended man and woman. 2 women don't fit, 2 men don't fit.
That has been our tradition. Now, let's break it down. The reason that people think there needs to be a constitutional amendment, some people believe, is because of the concern that about same-sex marriage. I am not somebody who promotes same-sex marriage, but I do believe in civil unions.
Because of my faith, I would not want a state law that allowed a man to marry a man or a woman to marry a woman. I didn't teach my children that, and I feel like I'm a pretty open person.
People ought to be allowed to do what they do as long as it doesn't hurt another person.
Does same-sex marriage hurt anyone?
I'm not sure that's a good example.
I have a sister who is gay. So, in one sense, I'm very open to that. And in another sense, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the natural, traditional ways that we were brought up with.
I have friends that are actually gay, but they know my faith.
I have a personal family friend that declared his homosexuality and has a male partner, which was made me think a lot. If we give over to things that may not be the way they were meant to be, we sort of can just go further into that cycle. And but I know people that have come out of that cycle of a man loving another man or having that propensity and then marrying in their life to have a wife and children and for them feel like that was true and right.
There's a saying that as goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. Like they had rollerblading first, and you know how that went. Are we going to see gay marriage in other states? Maybe even Georgia? I would hope not, but you may. Possibly, but I still don't believe in it.
I think it's possible because I think that we have a huge gay community here.
I hope we don't move in that direction.
I doubt it.
Why not?
Well, 2 totally different places. Number one, obviously,
There's
California's
people in both places, though, right?
It should be that way, but the reality that it's not. Plus, down south, we're a little bit behind times for the most part. You hate to be that way, but it's pretty true. So I don't see anything like that happening in Georgia.
What do you offer us? If you're not going to allow us marriage, what else can you offer us?
Who says that I'm supposed to offer you anything? Am I your mommy or daddy, or?
If you're going to take away our right, no. If your demands were when you went to the ballot to stop the minority of individuals from having the right to have equal rights.
And I view it as the Supreme Court inventing a special right for certain people. So what's your
certain people? So what are we as people then?
NFL nominee for Governor Mark Dayton wants to impose same-sex marriage on Minnesota, as does independent Tom Horner. But Republican Tom Emmer wants to preserve marriage as the union of one man and one woman. No matter your position on the definition of marriage, who should decide? Should it be backroom politicians and screaming protesters, or should voters decide?
Tom Emmer believes that Minnesota voters should have the final say on marriage, just as voters in 31 other states have done. Mark Dayton and Tom Horner say no vote for Minnesota. Dayton and Horner want your votes, but they don't want you to vote on marriage. When the candidates for governor ask for your support, ask them if they'll guarantee your right to vote on marriage.
Paid for by the Minnesota Family Council and the National Organization for Marriage.
I see a lot of oppression. Basically, they're oppressing what I would call the traditional values. This is what America was founded on: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, First Amendment. So anyway, because of the oppression,
what do you offer us then? What do you offer us then?
If you were elected President of the United States, would you allow us to be married to each other?
The answer to your question is yes. And let me tell you why.
Because historically, we have not defined marriage in our Constitution. It's been a matter of state law.
I believe historically for 200 and something years, marriage has been a question left to the states and the religious institutions. I still think that's where it belongs. That is, I was against the constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage nationwide, and I still think that the American people should be able to play this out in debates. I'm just telling you, but me, Bill Clinton personally, I have changed my position. I am no longer opposed to that. I think if people want to make commitments that last a lifetime, they ought to be able to do it.
To each its own.
To each his own?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what they want to do, then so be it.
Can you be a member of the Christian church and feel that way?
As far as faith's concerned, I think that it's pretty much just, it's about your own personal relationship, not what the church says. I mean, religion's man-made anyway.
My husband and I would totally disagree on this. Maybe it shouldn't be called marriage. Maybe it should be called something else, but I think they should have the rights as a married couple.
Why should they have the same rights?
In my opinion, God created them that way. It's not a choice that they make. So if it's not a choice they make, they shouldn't be penalized for something that they had no choice over.
I don't think in any way inhibits my core beliefs about what marriage are. I think my faith is strong enough and my marriage is strong enough that I can afford those civil rights to others, even if I have a different perspective or a different view.
Okay, how about this?
I live in Thetford Center. I have a wonderful family. I live with my little brother, my grandma, and 2 moms who are with me all the time and support me in whatever I do. I love them very much, and I wish that having to stand up here right now in front of this committee wasn't an issue anymore. We should be past this. I work really hard in school, I have good friends, and I am really happy with 2 loving parents. I have been studying the civil rights movement in school, and I've learned all about the countless acts of bravery that blacks performed to get their rights. But we still haven't reached the promised land that Martin Luther King wanted us to reach. Because although black boys and white boys and black girls and white girls can play together now, we still don't accept that 2 people of the same gender can be together, married, with kids of their own. We need to reach the promised land. Vermont's freedom to marry can help us get back on track. Feeling accepted in a society where gay and lesbian people aren't represented in daily life, like on television, in the media, is a real problem. There aren't any examples of a family like mine. If my parents could just have the right to get married, this would make such a difference. It hurts me sometimes when I feel invisible, because few people understand my feelings about my family, and few people want to ask about families with two moms. It's time to ask, it's time to understand, and it's time to accept and honor families like mine.